Warm greetings from the high 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. One day shy of the weekend. Amen. Thank you all for joining me. I'm bringing you a double commentary. One is pertaining to a Baltimore cop who is charged with murdering his stepson. And the other story is of two men found dead in a hotel that once belonged to the late great designer Gianni Versace. And it is deemed a double suicide. And I will bring you the said commentary. Thanks for joining me. God bless all of you. Thank you. Join me a little later this evening for commentary pertaining to Summer Wells. Amen. Thank you. Damn a dozen. How you doing, baby? You are faithful. Yes, Lord. Faithful, faithful, faithful. Thank you all for joining me. These times are harrowing, as you see. There's just death at every corner. If it's not the children, it's the adults. I don't know what's going on. As soon as I saw this article pertaining to the two dead men, and it said Gianni Versace's old mansion, I knew. I said, oh, this ain't going to be good. Of course, there were people in the articles saying, well, don't assume that the people are gay because they're two men. But most people use their better half to think, well, they probably were homosexual. But we'll roll with the information, and you're entitled to your interpretation of the said information. Hello, Night Owl. Thank you. Thank you all for joining me. I've got 8 viewers. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hello, Nancy. Thank you. Thank you all for joining me. The Independent is the source. Two found dead in double suicide at Versace mansion day before anniversary of fashion designer's murder. Housekeeper discovered two bodies, police say. This was uploaded today, July 15th. Two men have died in an apparent double suicide at the former Versace mansion in Miami Beach the day before the anniversary of fashion designer Gianni Versace's murder on the premises. Police said on Twitter that a housekeeper found the two bodies in a hotel room at the Villa Casa Arena and alerted authorities on Wednesday afternoon. Miami Beach police later confirmed that a preliminary investigation has ruled the deaths an apparent double suicide. I don't know the order or sequence, Ernesto Rodriguez, a spokesperson for the Miami Beach Police Department, told ABC News. Authorities identified the men as Adam Rashab, 31, of Randolph, New Jersey, and Alexander Gross, 30, of York, Pennsylvania. The Associated Press reported, oh, mercy. The ultimate cause of death will be determined by the Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's Office, police said in a statement. The discovery at the hotel was made the day before the 24th anniversary of the shooting of the late fashion designer who owned the property before his death. WSVN journalist Sheldon Fox reported that shots were fired at the mansion, with video showing a large emergency response presence at the scene. At this time, the scene is contained to the hotel room, and detectives have launched a death investigation, Miami Beach police said on Twitter. Versace was shot by serial killer Andrew Cunanan on the morning of July 15, 1997, as he began to climb the steps to his home. Cunanan, who was suspected to have killed 4 other men, died by suicide on a houseboat 8 days after Versace's shooting. And know that there was a manhunt for this said Andrew Cunanan in pursuit of him being the suspect in the murder of Versace and the other men who he murdered. The Villa Casa Arena was built in 1930 and purchased by Versace in 1992. It is operated as a boutique hotel since 2015 after it was sold following his death. This is a statement, I guess, to the general public. If you are experiencing feelings of distress and isolation or are struggling to cope, the Samaritans offer support. You can speak to someone for free over the phone in confidence. And this is for the UK, 116-123. Email jo@samaritans.org or visit the Samaritans website to find details of your nearest branch. If you are in another country, you can go to www.befrienders.org to find a helpline near you. If you are based in the USA and you or someone you know needs mental health assistance right now, call National Suicide Prevention Helpline on 1-800-273-TALK, which is 8255. The helpline is a free, confidential crisis hotline that is available to everyone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Additional reporting of this story is by the Associated Press. So 2 men were found deceased in a hotel room of a boutique hotel in Miami Beach, and this said hotel was once the mansion of the late great designer Gianni Versace. And today marks the anniversary of his murder by Andrew Cunanan. Thank you all for joining me. And I will bring you another article pertaining to the storyline. Let's see what else I can find. That's probably the most I can find. They had several articles, but most of them are just telling you that they passed away. Oh, Lord have mercy. Let me see if I can find anything extra in here. No, that's probably the most information. Two men out of the East Coast. I don't know if they were lovers or friends or two distraught human beings, unhappy individuals, obviously, because they are ruling it a double suicide. This commentary tells you that the gunshots were heard, so one could only assume that one shot the other one and then took his own life. When I get more said information pertaining to this horrific crime down in Florida, I will bring it to you. The Independent is the source for the said information, and I will read you the names of the decedents. This crime took place at Villa Casa Casarina Boutique Hotel in Miami Beach. It is the late estate of fashion designer Gianni Versace. Today marks the anniversary of the day that Mr. Versace was shot on the steps of his home by Andrew Cunanan. And everyone probably knows who Andrew Cunanan is. The decedents are Adam Rashad, 31, of Randolph, New Jersey, and Alexander Gross, 30, of York, Pennsylvania. That is the said information coming out of Florida. I'm going to give you a brief story pertaining to this, the death of Mr. Versace. Before I had moved back to Tennessee in '97, I was in Chicago living and working downtown Chicago. And I remember taking a walk downtown. It was State Street, if I'm not mistaken. And I passed a building where I saw like a for sale sign or for rent. And it had the name of the realtor's name or owner of the building. And it never dawned on me that that name would become significant, the name of that said person. But I remembered it when Versace was killed. Because you see, one of the four men that Andrew Cunanan killed, his name was on that building I passed in the spring of 1997 when I was in Chicago. This man was a very wealthy man in Chicago. I believe he was a business owner. And I remember passing the building time to time, seeing his name on the logo of the said property downtown Chicago. And his name did not become significant until the day Gianni Versace was murdered in Miami, and the other men's names were listed as victims of Andrew Cunanan. He robbed this man in his North Side Gold Coast estate, and he went on a killing spree across America, which led him down to Florida to kill Gianni Versace. And as I stated, it was really hard for me to decipher what I was listening to, because it was sad nonetheless to hear this man minding his business, going into his home, not bothering anybody, to be gunned down on the steps of his own home, and then to hear that other men were also killed, robbery. You know, he robbed these people so he could get from one place to the other. He was on a crime spree, robbing people to use their cars and said things. I believe he robbed a cemetery caretaker from, I believe it was New Jersey, and he stole his truck or automobile. And that was the last car I believe he stole to get to Florida. So he went on a crime spree across the United States. He came from the Pacific Northwest, and he made his way across the Midwest, East Coast, then down to Florida, where he ended up killing Versace and then himself on a houseboat in Miami. But one of the victims that he killed in the Midwest, which was in Chicago, was a wealthy man, business owner. And I remember seeing that man's name on a logo downtown Chicago. One day I was downtown. I can't remember if I was going to work or getting off of work. And I remember seeing the logo, and that name had no relevance to me, no significance to me, just a name on a building, you know, a real estate name. But it only came to fruition months later. I was living back in Tennessee, and there comes The news that Gianni Versace was murdered, and the names of the other men who were murdered, and that business owner's name was that name that rang a bell in my head that I used to see on buildings in downtown Chicago for rent. It's very tragic. Very, very tragic. Thank you all for joining me. God bless all of you. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you. My condolences to the families of these two men. Why these two men did this, I do not know. What was going on in their heads, I do not know. Were they just, damn, what's the problem? You know, I understand that we all get down. We all get frustrated, mad at the world. But suicide is not the way. Homicide is not the way to handle your problems, your aggression, your frustrations, your anger, your resentment, jealousy, all the ugly things that you can feel inside of yourself. Suicide is not the way. Murder is not the way. So if you are feeling any type of way, please notify a crisis hotline, suicide hotline. Seek help, counselor, rabbi, priest, pastor, somebody, because taking your own life is not the way, and killing someone else is not the way. So if you need help, please reach out to somebody immediately. If you have to go right now to the nearest hospital to check yourself in, they will take you in and assess you to get you the appropriate help that you need. And there are agencies that will work in conjunction with your local hospital or clinic to get you the desired help that you need. Thank you all so much. The next story is a recommendation from our mod, Mr. Air Force 5. I tried calling him. He didn't answer, so we're going to roll with the story. Oh, he's in the chat. Hello, dear. Air Force, this is your recommendation. This is the set information. I'm going to probably bring you 3. Let's see how many sources I got. Lord have mercy, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to bring you at least 3 sources pertaining to recommendation from one of the mods in the chat, and that's Mr. A5. And I will be talking to you here shortly, A5, so you can give your opinion on this story, because this is up in the area, state where you live. This horrific story of a cop who has killed his stepson. These are African-American people that we're speaking of. I'm assuming the boy child is African-American. I'm assuming the father is black as well. If you need verification for the story, WLKY, CBS News is the source. This is an older story. So mind you, this was uploaded July 9th. Police find body of Maryland officer's 15-year-old stepson and hole inside wall of home. Court papers reveal a mother's intuition led to the discovery of her 15-year-old unresponsive son inside the home of his stepfather, Eric Banks, who was a police officer in Baltimore. The mother told police when she couldn't reach her son, Deshaun Jones, by phone, she believed he was being held against his will. Banks initially told police Jones wasn't there and had left his packed bags at the back door. Charging documents show Banks gave police permission to search his home. In a loft on the top floor, officers saw a hole in the wall with a white cover. Banks advised it was his gun safe. Officers looked inside and saw a body later identified as Jones. An autopsy is underway. And remind you, this is a older article. I will bring you an update to the latest information pertaining to this story. Jones' friend Kayla Wright told sister station WBAL-TV she's heartbroken. Wright recalls him as bright, funny, and full of energy. I know that he wanted to be a doctor and he played the violin, so I was really sad that I had lost someone that I was like close with, Wright said. According to charging documents, after police placed Banks in handcuffs, Banks attempted to run. First, he asked if he could kiss his kids. Court papers indicate there were 2 other children in the house. Then, according to police, he grabbed my departmentally issued Glock by the handle and flipped the hood down to my holster in a clear attempt to disarm me. Banks stated multiple times, "You're going to have to end this," quote unquote. Police confirmed officers have responded to the home before. On June 25th, Banks' wife sought a protective order complaining she suffered from emotional and mental abuse and that he was stalking her. Banks' wife told police he had 2 weapons, one for work and one for leisure. I hope his family finally finds peace for this, because I know how hard it is for them right now, and I know his mom has 2 little boys, so I know that it's really difficult to try to process this, Wright said. Banks is seeking a preliminary hearing. No trial date has been set. According to Baltimore Police Commissioner Michael Harrison, Banks is on suspension for another undisclosed matter. If you need verification for the story, let's see, what city is this? This is WLKY Louisville. So this is an older article. 15-year-old was found unresponsive stored in a wall by the stepfather. Mother had a order of protection taken out. It says, I believe, June 25th. There were 2 other children found in the house. He tried to disarm a fellow officer. He's also suspended for another unmentionable, undisclosed matter. So now we have to ask ourselves, what the hell did he do before this murder? Lord have mercy. Somebody call the paramedics. I will bring you another commentary pertaining to the story, and then I will give you my 411 on what I think about the story. Thank you all for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Okay, let's see. Trying to make sure I got so many to bring you. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to get them all. Thank you all for joining me. Okay, I'm going to go with the next article. Let me see if I... CBS Baltimore 13 is the source. Baltimore police officer charged in teen stepson's murder. Attorney says he wanted suicide by cop. Wife feared for life and denied protective order. And Arundel County Police have now charged Baltimore City police officer Eric Banks Jr., the stepfather of 15-year-old Deshaun Jones, with the teen's murder. It follows the medical examiner's finding that death was a homicide by asphyxiation. Charging documents in case of Baltimore City police officer. Oh, Lord, they're jumping off now. Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. Let me go back where I was. The medical examiner's finding is that it was a death by homicide by asphyxiation. In a Twitter post in this article, you'll see an article by Mr. Mike Helgren. It shows you the charging documents if you need verification for what happened. And it is against the officer, who is Eric Banks, Baltimore City police officer, accused of killing his stepson at WJZ. You can get the said charging documents in this commentary. Banks remains on the force with his police powers suspended and is being held at the Anne Arundel County Detention Center. This is an absolutely heartbreaking, traumatic, and horrific case. Our hearts ache for his grieving mother and his siblings, Anne Arundel County Police Chief Amal Awad said. On July 6, police found Deshaun's body hidden in an attic crawl space at Banks' townhome in Curtis Bay. Anne Arundel County's police chief told WJZ investigator Mike Helgen that Banks tried to cover it up. I can say with confidence that he was very deceptive, Awad said. There's also an obituary, naturally, a couple weeks back, posted for Deshaun James Edward Jones, his full government name. There is a photograph of the young man in the said obituary. Charting documents obtained by WJZ revealed that Deshaun had injuries to his neck, face, and mouth. Police found his wet, bloody clothes smelling of bleach in a dresser drawer. Wait a minute, come on now. Oh, Lord. Oh. Wet, bloody clothes smelling of bleach in a dresser drawer. Come on now. According to police, Banks became combative with a responding officer and tried to reach for the officer's gun. During this altercation with police, Mr. Banks said, and I quote, "My life is over. Choke me, choke me, choke me," said Justin McCahey and Arundel County Police spokesman. Banks' attorney said his client plans to plead not guilty. Come again? Okay. My client adamantly denies being involved in the death of DJ. Defense attorney Warren Brown told Helgren. Okay. Under this post on Twitter by Mike Helgren, it reads as follows. Baltimore officer Eric Banks' attorney said there was a panic after his stepson died at his home, and after police came, he tried to get them to leave. He says the officer planned to kill himself. Police say it was murder, and Banks was intentionally deceptive at WJZ. Let me play the commentary. 1 second, please. Thank you for joining me. Well, now I can't hear it. This is in every article. You can never hear the people. I don't know why. Well, there's a video in here, but can't hear the volume. This is odd.
And so,
wait a minute.
So there was a panic. In fact, his position is he found his stepson dead, and that he himself was anticipating committing suicide, wanted to be found with his stepson. And so when the police came, he was hoping that they would come and go, after which that he was also going to commit suicide and be found next to his stepson. And I know it sounds bizarre, but we're talking about, folks with some serious mental health issues here. There was a panic. In fact, his position is he found his stepson dead, and that he himself was anticipating committing suicide, wanted to be found with his stepson. And so when the police came, he was hoping that they would come and go, after which that he was also going to commit suicide and be found next to his stepson. And I know it sounds bizarre, but we're talking about, folks with some serious mental health issues here.
Okay, so that's just a repeat because it's saying the same thing. Sorry. Okay. Circumstantially, we understand how the state's attorney's office can charge a homicide here. The issue is what gave rise to this asphyxiation, whether it was suicide or homicide, Brown said. The young man and my client had spoken both in the past about suicide. In fact, when my client was arrested, he was attempting a suicide by a cop, hoping that he was going to get shot. In charging documents, Deshaun's mother said her son called her shortly before his death, and there was no indication of anything was wrong. It appears as though there was a panic. My client's position is he found his stepson dead, and that he himself was anticipating committing suicide, wanting to be found with his stepson. When police came, he was hoping they would come and go, and he was going to commit suicide and be found next to his stepson, Brown said. He said his client had a very good relationship with his stepson. The young man's mother was going to be moving to Arizona. Deshaun did not want to go. He wanted to stay here. My client has raised him since he was a little kid, Brown said. He said Banks suffered from mental health issues born out of service to his country in Afghanistan in combat. He saw horrible things, lost friends, saw people's legs blown off. Baltimore City Police Commissioner Michael Harrison called Officer Banks' actions shocking to the conscience. This is a classic example of why I have advocated for the autonomy and authority to terminate officers when they are facing heinous criminal allegations. This is by Mike Helgren, Twitter post pertaining to the Baltimore City's cop being charged with the stepson's murder. This statement is from the Commissioner, Michael S. Harrison. It reads as follows. The alleged actions of Officer Banks are not only deplorable, but shocking to the conscience. This is a classic example why I have advocated for the autonomy and authority to terminate officers when they are facing heinous criminal allegations. Our department will continue to work closely with the Anne Arundel County Police Department during this ongoing investigation. Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott echoed that sentiment. It's disgusting. It's a disgusting and cowardly act, he said. Awad praised her officer's conduct at the scene of the killing. At any moment, they could have accepted an answer that they were given by Banks and walked away, and they did not. They kept asking questions. There's also a letter in this said tweet, and it's very, I don't really want to, if I can read all this. This is the initial, I believe, report. But it's got a lot of, from what I can see in it, I don't know if I can blow it up. I don't think I can blow it up. Oh, Lord. Let me see if it's going to open up and let me in. I have to go into Twitter to do it. Let's see. Oh, God. Sorry about that. Let me go back. Hold on. I got so many articles pertaining to this story. Obviously, they had a lot going on. Oh, Lord Jesus, help me. Excuse my manners. I'm trying to pull up what was inside of this article. Hold on, guys. Now I can't find it. This is crazy. Thank you all for joining me. I don't know where the article went now. 1, 2, 3. I was trying to read there's some type of letter inside of this article. Now it won't let me go back in for some reason. Jesus. Let me see if I can read this. I have to log into Twitter. That's the problem. Hold on one second. I don't really have to do all this. It's too much work to do. Anyway, there was a letter inside. Just for some reason, I can't pull up the rest of this information. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to go to the Baltimore Sun, and I'll just pull up this article. Sorry for the inconvenience, but this is what happens with these articles. They don't really like you being in them without signing in and stuff. This is about a Baltimore Sun pertaining to the same story. This was uploaded the 14th of July. Baltimore police officer charged with murder in the death of 15-year-old stepson in Anne Arundel County. Police say teen was asphyxiated. A Baltimore police officer has been charged with the first-degree murder of a 15-year-old stepson whose body was found hidden in the family's home last week. In documents charging Eric Banks Jr., 34, police wrote that Deshaun Jones' death was ruled a homicide by asphyxiation, with injuries also noted on his neck, face, and mouth. They also said they found wet clothing that smelled of bleach and was stained with what police believed to be blood. Banks has been in custody since July 6 after county police said Banks tried to disarm an officer after the discovery of Deshaun's body. When police detained him, Banks asked to say goodbye to his other children and reached for an officer's gun, saying the officer was going to have to end this. Prosecutors said Banks made homicidal and suicidal comments following his arrest. Banks' attorney, Warren Brown, told the Sun that Banks asserted that he found Deshaun dead in a bathtub and that he believed the boy committed suicide. I understand circumstantially it looks bad, Brown said Wednesday, but I'm looking to understand how he was asphyxiated. Banks' wife, Deshaun's mother, had applied for 2 protective orders against Banks in recent weeks, saying he was stalking her. The first was denied by a judge. The second was obtained only hours before Deshaun was found dead. Now, that's very critical. Anne Arundel County Police Chief Ahmad Awad called the case absolutely heartbreaking, traumatic, and horrific. She praised the work of officers on the scene for being diligent in trying to locate Deshaun. At any moment, they could have accepted an answer they were given and walked away, she said. They did not. They kept asking questions. An arrest warrant charging Banks with first and second-degree murder, as well as child abuse resulting in the death, was issued Tuesday. They described the case as very active. Banks has served as a Baltimore police officer for about 3 years, but was suspended at the time of the discovery of Deshaun's body. Prior to becoming a police officer, he spent 11 years with the Marines, spending his final years as a recruiter after 3 overseas deployments. A memorial was held Monday in Glen Burnie for Deshaun, who had just completed his freshman year and was described as well-liked and quiet. He played the violin, was an avid gamer, and enrolled in a nursing magnet program at Glen Burnie High School. According to an obituary, he wanted to attend college and become a surgeon. Deshaun's death and Banks' arrest came after 2 months of domestic violence complaints between Banks and his wife, Deshaun's mother. She told police Banks was becoming increasingly erratic. Brown, Banks' attorney, said that the officer tried to kill himself a day before Deshaun's body was found. In May, Banks filed for a protective order from his wife, accusing her of threatening him and making false complaints about him. He withdrew the petition 2 days after filing it. His wife then filed for a protective order in late June, saying he was stalking her, which a judge denied. She filed for another protective order on the afternoon of July 6th, just hours before Deshaun was found dead. In that order, she said that Banks had taken Deshaun's phone and was texting her from it, including saying that he had observed her outside of a hotel where she was staying. Online court records say the temporary protective order was granted at a hearing at 3 p.m. In the new charging documents, Banks' wife said she called Deshaun at about 3:50 p.m., asked him to meet her a short distance from the home in the 1400 block of Stony Point Way so she could pick him up. After her son failed to meet her within a reasonable amount of time, Ms. Banks called police, believing something was out of the ordinary, police wrote in charging documents. Officers arrived around 5 p.m. and Banks told them the boy had just run from the back door. Officers searched the area and could not find him and returned to the home, where police say Banks consented to a search. Officers found Deshaun's body in a small storage area in the upstairs wall where Banks had a gun safe was kept. It was covered over. Both Deshaun's and Banks' clothing were wet, police said. In the new charging documents, police wrote that Banks said, "My life is over," and begged an officer detaining him to choke me before going for the officer's handgun. Awad, the county police chief, said she viewed body camera footage from the scene and praised her officers' diligence in trying to locate the son, as well as their restraint when Banks went for an officer's gun. She visited the scene the night of the incident and said officers were shaken up. Banks agreed to speak with detectives after being taken into custody and said he found the son's body and carried him to the loft area and hid it. Mr. Banks denied harming the son, Jones, and claimed not to know what caused his death. Mr. Banks could not provide a reasonable explanation for hiding the victim's body, police said. The reason for Banks' suspension from the Baltimore Police Department has not been released. The alleged actions of Officer Banks are not only deplorable but shocking to the conscience. Baltimore Police Commissioner Michael Harris has said in a statement, "Our department will continue to work closely with the Anne Arundel County Police Department during this ongoing investigation." Thank you all for your your patience. So I don't even know where to start. Oh, Lord have mercy. 2 protection orders, 1 finally granted, 3 o'clock. Shortly after that, the son goes missing, doesn't call the mother. She calls the police, thinking something's wrong, which it was. Officers come to the house. Stepfather lying about the son not being there. He left out. They go look for him, come back. He gets consent to search the house like a dummy. See, this man's a dummy. Besides killing a child, besides having these problems with his wife, domestic abuse, whichever, however it went, now you kill the kid. And they find bloody, wet clothes with bleach in them in a dresser drawer, and the child found stuffed in a wall upstairs in the loft area. What the hell is going on? What the hell did I just read? This is crazy. You see, I bet you the judge, yeah, I'm going to go there. You denied her that protective order the first time because he was a cop. I bet you. You thought, she's probably making this up. He's claiming she's beating him up. Okay, tit for tat. Who do you believe? But she gets it granted the next round. But you see what happens on the next round? Instead of her being dead, her child is dead. And it alleged in the last article that I was trying to pull back up that the child didn't want to move with the mother. See, I was wondering that anyway when I first read the article. What was the child doing there alone with this man and the mama wasn't there? And you also see in this said information, I'll bring you a source. Baltimore Sun is the source. She met her son down the street. So that means she feared for her safety. She did not go nowhere near that house. Because 9 times out of 10, she already knew her fate would be final by the hands of her husband. And instead of him killing her, he kills her son. And the fact that his attorney is saying that he tried to kill himself the day before, I don't know if I believe that. Because if you wanted to be dead, sir, you'd be dead. How is it that you just so happen to want to kill yourself the same day that an order of protection is issued, and then you also murdered a son, and you are now denying that you killed a son, but you already have admitted to abuse of a corpse? Because indeed, if that boy killed himself, why the hell would you go hide his body? You are a police officer. You are a officer of the court, the law, and you know the right thing to do would be to call police to say, I just found my stepson unresponsive. You did that. You killed that boy. And you hid his body in the wall upstairs in the loft attic. You then hid the clothes that both of you all were wearing. And you had put bleach on them. Why, I do not know. And why you put them in a dresser drawer makes no sense. Which shows me your ass is crazy, sure enough. And the sad part is, besides the death of the child, besides this woman fearing for her safety, 2 other children were in the house with a dead kid stuffed in an attic. So that leads me to wonder, whose 2 children are those? You and hers? What are we talking about? It also says in the previous article that you have been raising him since he was a kid. So that leads me to think these other 2 children belong to you and she. Lord, somebody call the paramedics. I'm done. I'm all the way done. This is bad. This is real, real bad. Thank you, Mr. A5, for the said commentary. I will call you now, since you are former law enforcement, for you to weigh in on this horrific crime that is in your demographic, sir. Thank you all for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. If you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. I also super chat to welcome during the live. Turn it down.
Yes, ma'am.
Turn down the back.
I just did. I just did.
Okay, weigh in.
Yeah, a terrible, horrible situation. There is an organization called the Vanguards, which is Black police officers who are having problems, either personal or either on the job, where they can go to and talk with a psychologist or whomever they need to talk to when they're having problems. This dude, I've never, well, I mean, like, I've been retired since '08, so, you know, he's been on the force 3 years. But still, whatever was going through this officer's mind, he should have sought help from the organization. I agree that he may have been trying to get back with his ex-wife, and the only way that he could, or since he could not, then what he did was he hurt that boy.
Yeah. What he do would hurt her the most.
Right. That's it. Whatever hurt her the most was killing that kid. And that was the wrong thing to do. If he knows that she did not want him back, he should have left, you know, her alone. Go his own way, try to find another young lady or whatever the case may be, and just let bygones be bygones. Mm-hmm. You know, but again, we don't know what was in this clown's mind. Mm-hmm. You know, for him to do such a horrific thing to this young man, and then to stick him to knock out a part of a wall and to hide that boy's body in the wall, mm-hmm. and then cover it with a white sheet. Yeah, that's utterly ridiculous. Yeah. That's utterly somebody being straight, mm-hmm. out of their mind.
Yeah. Let me say this right quick. The part that bothers me, like I said, but besides the death of the child, is the fact that 2 small children were in this house, and that means she left them there. Think about that now. They say in the articles that he had been watching her and found where she had been staying. How long she been staying in a hotel, I do not know. But the baffling part is that she did not take her children with her. Now, I understand that this boy is an older teenager and wanted to stay behind with the stepfather or whatever. But the sick part is 2 small children she left with him. So I have a little problem with her about that. Why would you leave your children with this man and go stay in a hotel? You should have took your children with you. Now, the older child say, well, hey, I don't want to go with you. I want to stay here and go to school. Okay, y'all come to some agreement with the stepdaddy. But you should not have left them other small children there with that man. Because what if he had killed those 2 kids?
There you go.
Go ahead.
There you go. That's the thing about it. You know, now I did not know about the other 2 small children until you had mentioned it.
Okay, that's fine.
I only read the headlines.
Yeah.
You know, and I like the way you said that county, but it's called Anne Arundel County.
Oh, Anne Arundel. Well, you know, I don't know the demographics, so thank you for the correction. Okay.
I know. I was a little bit tickled about that part.
Okay.
But the thing about it is that, like I said, he should have sought some type of help, you know, with the problems that he was going through. And like I said, the thing about that was he wanted to get back with her. He wanted to get back with her, and she did not want him any longer, anymore, you know, because of the fact that she was afraid of him, mm-hmm. you know. Now, whether or not he was, you know, beating on her or
vice versa, because he accused her as well in the documents.
Right, or you know, belittling her, mm-hmm. you know, not mentally, you know. I mean, she needed to roll. She needed to roll, you know, and sometimes the judges here in this state, especially in Baltimore City, you know, I don't know what to say about them. I truly don't, you know, because sometimes they'll give a slap on the wrist to a murderer instead of putting that person behind bars. they'll put them on the bracelet and say, okay, don't, and you know, give them a slap on the wrist now, or a pat on the head. Don't you do that no more. You know. But then they come back out and do it all over again, and then that's when they got to put them in prison.
Okay.
You know, which they should have put them in prison the first time around.
For what?
You know. So
put them in prison the first time for what?
For any crimes that some of these clowns commit.
Okay, but let me ask you this. You are former law enforcement, and I want you to give your honest opinion of abuse that you knew of from your fellow comrades as a police officer. How often did you hear stories of police officers abusing their wives and it going under the table unreprimanded?
Ooh, put me in a situation here.
Well, don't nobody know who you are.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. A lot.
Okay.
A lot. Some of the officers that I have known have even committed suicide because of retirement, or their spouse have left them, male and female. There was one guy who had just treated his wife for her birthday to a brand new vehicle that she wanted. So he gave it to her, and come to find out, she was riding around in her brand new birthday present, still married to this dude, you know, with another guy in the car.
Okay.
So what he did was, instead of killing, you know, or beating the guy or whatever, what he did was he went up to the car and killed her point blank.
Okay. Well, that's the whole thing. Each person does something different. Everybody don't do the same. One will kill the person that they in love with, and then somebody else will go kill their mama or their sister or their child, or take everybody out. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we had an officer in Howard County. You know, he took out the whole family except one son who was not home.
Okay.
But he took out the whole family. And I worked with his wife. When I retired, I worked with her over at Maryland Live Casino.
Okay.
You know, and come to find out, everybody was so upset and everything. I said, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, such and such was killed by her husband. I said, oh my God.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you're blinking. I didn't know you were on. Okay.
You know? I mean, I don't understand.
You're muffled.
I don't understand.
You're muffled, baby.
No, I'm sorry. Okay. I don't understand these people. I truly don't. I don't understand their mindset.
You have to speak back the way you're speaking. You're muffled.
Oh.
Whatever you were doing, you.
Okay, I put it on speaker.
Well, I don't know if you stepped away from the mic. What?
Okay, but I don't know. I don't know. But you know, like I said, some of them have committed suicide. Some of them have committed, you know, murder or other crimes. You know, soon after, why either on the force or either after they retire.
Okay, turn your volume up or something, sweetheart. You're muffled. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll get closer.
Yeah,
to it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, why would you step away from it?
I wanted to step. Okay. So that's the way it is.
Okay. Do you miss being a police officer, sir?
Yes, I do.
Because?
At the time I was on the force, I enjoyed my coworkers. I enjoyed my supervisors. I enjoyed my job because I was able to help some people.
Will you tell us how long you was on the force, sir, before you retired?
I was on the force 35 years.
And what was your position before you left, sir?
Sergeant.
Okay. Did you ever have to reprimand any officers for this type of behavior, domestic violence?
No, not me, no.
Okay.
Wait a minute, hold up. Yes, I did, because I had to go to his house. Me and my partner, we had to go to his house.
Well, set it up for me, please.
Okay.
Just take your time.
He was abusing his wife.
Okay.
And she had called.
Okay.
and she said that he was at the house. She was at work, but he was home because he wasn't coming to work. We didn't know why. He never called in.
Okay. How long had he missed work?
He missed work 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Well, why the hell y'all ain't trying to get rid of him and find out why he wasn't coming to work? Y'all don't make house calls.
Now, maybe the supervisor did.
Okay, so that was your position. Okay, I got you.
Right. Maybe the supervisor did, you know.
Okay.
So he told us to go pick him up.
Okay.
So we went in an unmarked, well, actually, we didn't take a patrol car. We went in an unmarked car.
Okay.
We surveilled the area before we went up to the door.
Okay.
Once we surveyed the area, we went up to the door, knocked on the door, and he opened the door and said, "Come on, dude, you know, you got to come. You got to come with us."
So he didn't resist?
No, he didn't resist because we all worked together at one time.
Okay, so how old was he, sir?
He was probably, at that time, he was probably about 28, 29 years old.
Okay. Did he have children?
He had two boys.
Okay. You know the ages?
They were at the caretakers.
Oh, at the time when she called?
Mm-hmm.
So this was during the daytime?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, while the children were in school?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what was the end result, and what did he tell you happened, and what was the end result?
Well, he had gone a little bonkers by the way he was talking. You know, he was somewhat out of his mind, so to speak.
Okay.
He was there and not there.
Okay. Well, what did he tell you he had been doing with her? Did he admit that he abused his wife?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Because I was the one he wanted to talk to.
Okay.
Before me taking him to the supervisor.
Okay.
He said, "I need to talk to you." So I took my weapon off.
Okay.
Placed it in the gun locker, and I said, "Okay, let's sit and talk."
Okay. Crystal wants to know: do you do mental checks every month, or how does it work when they shoot somebody?
We give them time off to get themselves together. They do go see a psychiatrist
After they shoot somebody, or monthly? Just let me ask one question at a time.
After the shooting.
Okay.
After the shooting, we take their weapon. Okay, and then we make an appointment for them to go see the psychiatrist.
Okay.
Once the psychiatrist brings back his or her initial findings to the supervisor would then say, "Okay, you know, you can come back to work such and such a date or such and such a time."
Okay.
You know, instead of him, let's say if he was working a midnight shift, the supervisor would have him work the day shift so everybody can keep an eye on him.
Work a desk job, you mean? Desk duty.
Well, yeah,
okay.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Until the supervisor feels that he's ready or she's ready to go back out in the field.
Okay. Let me ask you, what is your protocol at that time when you were working for mental evaluations for the officers? How often were they done, or were they done at all?
Only when the shift supervisor, only when the shift supervisor feels that there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's what I
thought.
Officer, yeah, that's the problem.
The shift supervisor will then say, "Okay, well, look, you know, come in the office, we're going to talk." They talk, do whatever they got to do, and the shift supervisor would then determine whether or not that he's going to give that particular officer time off from work to get themselves together or what. You know, we've had two officers. We have a place way out in the country here in Maryland that one can go to. You know, it's somewhat of a state hospital, but it's not because of the setting that it's in. You know, we would send them there so they can get themselves together and then come back. You know, come back to work. Okay. You know, they can't leave that place until a psychiatrist says that they're okay to leave.
Somebody wants to know, did any of your coworkers ever get fired for domestic violence?
Yes. We've had one female and 4 guys that were let loose.
One female? Wow. Husband or boyfriend?
No, they were married.
No, I'm talking about the female. You said you let a female go.
Yes.
I mean, was it her husband that she was beating up on? What?
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking. I'm trying to get understanding. Okay.
Because he was timid.
Okay.
He was a timid little guy.
So you had at least 4 or 5, you say?
Yes.
During your tenure. If you were an officer today, would you recommend valuations every few months, every few years? What would you be? What would your recommendation be?
I would recommend every 6 months.
Okay, that's good.
I was trying to do that.
Okay.
I would, especially for our division, I went to my supervisor and said, well, can we do, instead of a year or every 2 years, can we do every 6 months? Because see, I was a training officer at the time.
Okay.
And with talking with some of the officers and, through classes and things like that, I was, someone would come and I was the type of an officer that a person could come and talk to because I would listen. Yeah,
you're mild-mannered. That's why I was stunned when you said you were once a cop. I was stunned. I said, you are mild-mannered. To me.
Yeah, okay. That's no problem. That's no problem. But I was the kind of I would say, well, look, come on to my conference room, which was my my police vehicle.
Okay.
Come on to the conference room and we'll talk.
Okay.
And so we would talk and talk and talk and talk. And then, after some conversation, some of them would say, okay, I got you, so forth and so on, and that's that. But if I saw that the conversation did not go as well, then I would go back. I would go to my supervisor, and say, well, look, such and such and I had a talk. He or she is feeling this type of way. I think you should have them come in. We all sit down and we'll just talk. And that's how our division worked.
Okay.
Now I don't know about the other sectors, but that's how ours would work. Because we were a close knit family. We were a close knit family.
Well, what do you think is going to happen to this man?
He's going to jail. He's going to prison.
Okay.
I don't care what. Because police officers have their own attorneys. Okay, so he'll get he's going to have to get an attorney from.
Well, he got one. I read the commentary of the attorney speaking, Mr. Brown. I think is his name.
Mr. Brown. I don't like Mr. Brown.
Well, how you know Mr. Brown?
I've had dealings with Mr. Brown.
Oh Lord! So Mr. Brown's been around town.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Brown has been around town.
Oh, okay. So give me the synopsis of who Mr. Brown is as an attorney, defense attorney.
Mr. Brown is going to make it look like it was that the stepson had problems.
Yeah. Well, see, he's already laying it on thick, saying that the man was suicidal and was attempting suicide the day before. But then he gonna say he done said too much already, and it's like different versions already. So which is it? Can't be he was suicidal, the son was suicidal, he wanted them both to lay side by side. Well, the gist of the story is y'all didn't lay side by side because you took him and hit him in the damn wall.
Right.
And they did an autopsy to say he was asphyxiated. So you want me to believe this child asphyxiated himself? If he asphyxiated himself, you should have had no problem calling 911 to see if he'd be resuscitated.
Now, Banks' first initial interview was that the boy killed himself while he was in the bathroom and he was in the tub, which was completely wrong.
There's somebody in the chat that says their dad went to school with attorney Warren Brown. Interesting. Hello, how are you? Thank you. Ask him if he's happily married. Damn.
He's happily married.
I guess you're talking to you. You the only man up here talking. Ooh, Lord, have mercy. Look, somebody named Valisa.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
wow.
I'm not married. I'm not married. Not yet.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Not yet.
Well, I mean, my lives.
I'm not married yet. No, not yet.
So, how long has Mr. Brown been practicing the law there in the area?
Oh, many years.
Okay. For any of you that want to see the commentary, I brought you the set information pertaining to these this storyline, and you can go in and check the Baltimore Sun and the other source I read to you, CBS, I believe, and Mr. Brown's commentary is in one of the Twitter posts in the article. Look at Night Owl say he is unavailable.
No, I have a young lady who's I'm interested in.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. But look Night Owl talking about he is unavailable. Your attorney stepped up for you. Damn.
Thank you, Nee.
Look. You know I'm going to mess with you. Oh, I didn't know you were. Are you seeing somebody? I didn't know you ain't never told the queen. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
I said you ain't never told the queen you was interested in somebody. Look.
Yeah. She's beautiful too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So are you dating her or are you just interested in her? Or is that too much? I'm saying I'm asking too much.
I'm very much interested.
Okay.
In her.
Okay. Have you told her?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. Well, we wish you luck.
Thank you.
Oh, Jesus. Look, to be continued. To be continued. Anything you want to cap out on this story, since this was your recommendation? Well, you mentioned the story to me, and I decided to bring it up because I got another notification in my phone tonight, and I said, I'm going to go ahead and rock with this story because what I was reading was just like, wow, okay. And then I went in and found more information, and I was just like, man, this is bad. This is really, really bad. This is really, really bad. It's really, really bad. Because I think it's going to be a lot of he said, she said, I ain't well. The military is going to come into play.
Well,
and
Brown is going to bring in the mind thing, you know, the mental issue. You know, that's
stop, Teresa. Mr. Brown going to do what?
He's going to bring in the mental thing.
Well, I just don't like the fact of trying to make it seem like the child was also suicidal because the child can't speak because he's not here. And the mother just said she just got off the phone with him that day or whatever. He sounded fine to her. Mm-hmm. And why would I think he could kill himself when he already done let it be known? I don't want to go with my mother out west. I want to stay here. And 9 times out of 10, it's because he don't want to leave his friends.
Right.
So I'm not going to kill myself knowing I want to stay in the town where I've been going to school.
Now, what the news failed to mention is that they did have a good relationship, the stepson and Mr. Banks.
But that's what he told the news, because I did read that. He said, I got a good relationship, or the lawyer said that. That don't mean nothing to me, because you know what I said? That's hearsay. That don't mean nothing to me, because the boy dead. Right. And the coroner's already ruled of asphyxiation, and it didn't say it was self-asphyxiation. And the fact that you hid the body would lead one to believe logically you asphyxiated him and hid him in that damn wall. And then it also said they found bloody and wet clothes in the dresser drawer with bleach on them. So you want me to believe what? A dead man reclaimed his life and bleached his clothes? What you trying to say? No, you did that. So you ain't gonna be able to say you had a mental this, I flipped out, I this, he tried to kill himself, because you did things that a guilty person would do to conceal a crime.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, the bloody clothes told it all with the bleach on them.
Yes.
You didn't have sense enough to take the clothes and throw them in the garbage and run them out somewhere. You could have put your kids in the car if they were small children and took their clothes and dumped them 20, 30 minutes away somewhere in a dumpster. Why would you take bloody and wet clothes with bleach on them and put them? So now I'm starting to wonder, when we say wet, is it wet from blood and bleach or wet from he did drown him in the bathtub because he's trying to make it seem like, oh, he was in the bathtub. I found him in the bathtub. No, did you kill him, choke him, and then throw him in the tub, or fill the tub up before and then pushed him down in the water and drowned him in the water? Lord have mercy. This is too much. This is sad. It's very, very sad. This is horrible. And I got a feeling that's what's gonna probably come out, that he filled that tub up with water and he put him in that tub and drowned him.
Yes.
But I feel like he was strong enough probably to kill him outright. Lord, why would you need to drown him in the bathtub? That's something you do to like smaller children, or men drown women in bathtubs. Lord have mercy. This is just horrible. This is just horrible. I thank you all for joining me.
Like I said, I don't know why, especially police officers, because of the job that they do, sometimes the crime scenes that they have to go on, and see different things. I mean, I have seen, oh God, I could write a book on the stuff that I've seen. And you try not to take that stuff home,
Yeah.
But when you tossing and turning in the bed, and it is bothering you that bad, then you need to seek some help.
Yeah. Well, see, I think what the problem is like most problems, you don't know people, first of all. They fudge the test they take, because we all have been offered mental, what I call questionnaires for a job. They ask you questions basically about right and wrong. And anybody with some sense is going to answer the correct box to do, not to do what the question says, which would be something illegal, such as, would you tell on an employee if they stole something from the job? Well, we know common sense, you're going to answer, yes, I would tell. So it's the same thing with the questionnaire for the police academy. It's always going to be the same old questions. You got to answer the question appropriately. So that means you're lying. So then you have now entered into this job that is going to become a stressful and possibly a defeating job, depending on your mentality and your disposition. Then it also got to factor in health problems and the problems you got going on at your house. So you're going to take one to the other. You're going to take what you see in the street home. You're going to take what's going on at home to the job. And that's where we have our problems in life. We carry them and they intertwine.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's what they told us in the academy. Don't take your work home and don't bring your home to work.
And exactly, because it's a known fact. You cannot balance life with everything negative. That's been said. If you got a bad job, you want your home life to be Gucci. If the home life is bad, you want to have a great job. You can't have a bad home life and a bad job. It don't work. It ain't never worked. Because that means you walking around mad all damn day. And it's unhealthy to have negative environments. You don't have a reprieve. You got to have a reprieve or you won't be able to cope in life. Lord have mercy. I must have heard it all.
But then, see, sometimes you have to, even though you're not supposed to take your work at home, if you have a partner, if you have a wife who understands what your job entails, or ladies who are police officers who have a husband who understands what your job entails, then it's a good thing if your spouse can say, well, look, baby, how was your day? Come on, I done fixed you dinner, or, we can make dinner together, or whatever the case may be, just to get your mind off of your job. Then let's, then we can go look at TV or go to the movies or whatever. Just for that spouse to take your mind off of your work. That's a good thing.
It is.
That helps you in the process of you going back to work, feeling great about yourself. Because you have a loved one who, if anything happens at work, you have a loved one that you can go and talk to, who understands. Because if you have a spouse that don't understand and say, well, I don't want to hear that, that crap. I don't want to hear this. My day was stressful too and all this kind of stuff. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
And that's the time when these officers just start drinking.
Yeah.
Start doing drugs because that's the only thing they know now.
Yeah.
You know, because their spouse won't talk to them.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to listen. There's no communication.
Well, you know, I think it's a combination of all. I think it's a combination of people who don't need to be in that line of work. And I think it's a combination of taking the things from the job home and not being able to compartmentalize those things you saw on the job.
Right.
Because I don't think a lot of men and women have the temperament for law enforcement work. Same thing with working in sales. If you're really not a people person, that's not the job for you. If you fly off the handle quick, you quick tempered, things agitate you quick, law enforcement, working in the public, period. It's not a job for you. You probably need a desk job where you sit at a computer all day, work that computer, put in the information, and at 4:35 you clock out and you get in your elevator and you carry your tail home. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody is not cut out for public service work.
That's true.
Because if you don't know how to talk to people, you are going to have a problem.
Right. And just to give you an example of that. Oh boy, hey, this hurts. This hurts. But there was a guy who had committed murder on an 8-year-old girl, his own daughter.
Okay.
What he did was he took a sledgehammer and he beat that. Oh Lord Jesus!
Don't get upset, baby. Don't do that.
In the head with that sledgehammer, and I had to investigate that stuff.
Okay.
And go down to the morgue and see this little girl's body on a slab. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not being able to go home and talk to somebody about that. That was the hurt. That was the hurt that came because I couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't say anything, and it was just terrible. It was terrible.
Well, set it up for me.
I needed somebody to talk to.
Okay.
You know, and I didn't have that. I didn't have that communication. You know, so I myself went to my supervisor and said, hey, look, I got to take a couple of days off.
Well, you did the right thing. You took responsibility for your emotions. You did the right and honorable thing.
This is getting to me too much.
Yeah.
And I still see this little girl's face.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
Well, let me ask you this, if you can explain it further. Set it up for us to how it came to be that this incident happened. Was this his only child? Was he married? Dating the mother? Can you set it up for us?
He was dating the mother.
Okay.
I don't know. I think they had gotten into some type of argument.
Okay.
He went out and he shot up some heroin.
Okay.
And he came back home. She wasn't there.
The mother wasn't there?
The mother wasn't at home at all. I think when she had work, when she was out, I think she was at work or she had went to her mother's house. One of the two. I forgot which one it was.
Okay.
And she came back home and found her baby dead. And we found this clown. I wanted to break his neck. I actually wanted to break his neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To see that little girl at the city morgue like that. You know, the doctor took me to the refrigerator.
Yeah.
And he pulled her out. We took pictures of her and all of that. And I had to hold my composure while doing what I needed to do.
Okay.
You know, but then when I went home, I just couldn't hold it no more.
Yeah, I understand.
I couldn't hold it no more. And like I said, I had nobody to talk to.
Yeah. That has to be a very, that when you have to witness a violent death, whether you're a witness or see the after effects of a violent death, That is the most horrific thing. It is the most horrific thing to go, whether it's the crime scene after the fact, if the body's there or the body's gone. It's horrific. And it takes a strong mind to watch this every waking day. And a lot of people don't really think about what it's like for police officers and detectives who have to go to the crime scene techs who have to go in and suit up and go in and assess the situation and gather the evidence. You got to have a strong mind and stomach to go to a crime scene, especially if it's brutal. And then come out of there and pretend you're a human after you've watched and seen that.
Yes. Yes.
Lord
it's just too, some people say defunding the police and all of this kind of stuff. But, there are officers out there that do care.
Yeah. We just hear the bad stories of the ones who, what we call become vigilantes in blue. Yeah. Quick-tempered.
I hate those. I hate those type of officers.
Okay.
Because I tell them, you wear pants. You got to go to the urinal or you got to go to the ladies' room.
Yeah.
You got the same type. You may not have the same type of blood, but you got blood
in
running warm into your
that's what people don't understand is that we're all human.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but see,
talk to these people like they got sense.
Yeah, but that's the problem. What I said.
If you have to make an arrest, make the arrest. But do the arrest in a proper manner. If you got to get into a fight, then you got to get into a fight. If you lose, also, okay, so what? You lose. But he's lost too. Yeah. Because he's going to jail, but you going home, fool.
Yeah. But see, people don't think like that. That's why I said a lot of people don't have no business in law enforcement. The attitude is ripe. You have a ripe attitude. You cannot be in law enforcement. You can't be the judge. You can't be the jury. You can't be the district attorney. You can't even be the parole and probation officer. I'm going to take it that.
All you are is a detainer.
Yes. Amen.
That's what you do. You detain.
Yeah, but people don't look at it like that. But they don't look at it like that.
That's all you do. That's all you're supposed to do. Unless the situation calls for help. When you got to get other officers involved, then that's what you do.
Yeah.
But you take the initiative because you're the first one on the call.
Yeah. Well, people don't look at life like that. That's why we have the problems we have right now with the world, is that people are just evil. They're mad at the world. They say, as Cat Williams said, dang, you waking up banging on bacon, you up mad and ain't even had a cup of coffee. Brush your teeth, you already angry. That's a bad situation to be in. It's sickening. If you wake up out your slumber and you mad before your foot touch the floor, you got problems. And you need to talk to somebody.
See, that's the thing. That's why I miss my grandmother so much. And my mother, she still instills in me, before your feet hits the floor.
Yes. Amen. Yes.
You pray.
Yeah.
Before you go to sleep at night.
Yeah. You got to claim it.
Get in that bed.
You have to claim it.
On your knees.
You have to claim it. Sometimes you just got to claim it. If you're lying still with your eyes open before your feet touch, just say, Lord, I ask you to give me strength today. I don't know what today's going to be like, but I want to be happy today. I want a good temperament today. And that's what you have to claim. Sometimes you just got to say it out loud and claim it, because Satan will be right there while you talking to God and be like, it don't matter what you say, I got something for you. But that's his job. And that's what people don't understand. That man got a job to do. He trying to take souls. And guess what? He's doing a damn good job.
Yeah, yes, he is.
Satan is in it to win.
Yes.
He is in it to win, and you cannot let him have the victory.
That's right. That's right. Because God said, I'm going to give you the choice. I'm going to give you the choice. Either you follow me and my laws for a happy life.
Yes.
And
Amen.
life eternal.
Yes.
And life eternal.
Yes.
Or you can go to the other side.
Yes.
That's your choice.
Yes, it is a choice. And that's why God shows us favor. No matter how bad things get, he still gives you breath to make a choice. And that's how favorable he is. Because he didn't have to wake you up this morning.
That's right. And somebody, every time before I go in my bed, I always ask God, I said, put your arms of love and protection on those who have lost a loved one in this very hour.
Yes.
Not this day, but this very hour. Because every hour, somebody's life is gone.
That's true. That's true.
Every hour,
and that's what's so sad about being up here doing what I do, which is talking about true crime and different various stories and bringing you commentary to what somebody did horrific to another human being. In the end, that's somebody's life that's been snuffed out by somebody else, and they didn't have the right to take their life. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I understand if it's a matter of survival at that time, somebody is coming at you, trying to take you down, then yes, by all means necessary, you do what you have to do to sustain your own life. But to willingly take a life out of spite and revenge, jealousy, honoring, you don't have that right.
But just like I told you, I think I told you this yesterday. Most preachers will not preach on the book of Revelations because Revelations is true life today.
Yes, it is.
That's why and I'll say this: the young lady that I have been talking to, she's a God-fearing woman.
Good.
And yes, and I love her disposition. I love her personality. You know, I mean, sometimes she even makes me laugh. You know, she makes me laugh. But the thing about it is, I feel within my heart that God sent that lady to me.
Well, amen.
And I told her that, and she felt the same. She feels the same way.
Okay, well, that's good.
You know,
well, everybody needs somebody to talk to. Like I said, you know, sometimes people don't want to date for whatever reasons. I hear a lot of people saying they don't want to date. I guess because they've had really terrible experiences and they don't want to invest in trying to get to know somebody and start it all over again. But my thing is, God didn't design for us to be here alone. That's why he made a woman from Adam's rib, if you believe in the scripture. And I just don't see anybody wanting to be alone. But like I said, everybody's entitled to his or her opinion and to live the way he or she sees fit. But I just can't see every waking day you don't have a significant other.
Right.
And like you said, with the type of work that you have done, which serving in law enforcement, that would be horrific to every waking day, work on a force and come home to nobody to talk to, nobody to share anything with. That would be troublesome.
Yes. Yes.
That would be troublesome. That would be troublesome. And I understand why people turn to alcohols and drugs and other type of, salacious behavior because the idle mind. And it doesn't matter if you're in law enforcement or you the butcher baker. You sit somewhere long enough, the devil will come to play.
Yes.
Because that's his job. That's his job. I should thank you, darling. So I finally got your opinion on a story. Amen. The worst kind of story, of course, but nonetheless, I appreciate your commentary. And that is where I've been trying to go with this network, is to bring people who are affiliated in some way pertaining to the subject matter that I speak about on Everyday Shenanigans. So I thank you for giving me commentary on being previous law enforcement, because this story is about a police officer who has been charged with murdering his stepson in Baltimore, Maryland. It's a very tragic, tragic day.
I thank you in the chat for listening to me. I apologize for...
You ain't got to apologize. Don't do that. You don't apologize for nothing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You gone now? Yeah. You're going to recoup because we got a part 3. Okay, love you. Okay, bye-bye. Okay. That was Air Force 5 out of Maryland area. Excuse me. He is a former sergeant with the police department. Retired since 2008. Thank you, A5. I want to thank you all for joining me. For those who came in the chat late, the story is deriving out of Baltimore, Maryland. A police officer has murdered his stepson. There are different versions of what happened on that fateful day, but the story goes kind of like this. A woman has left her husband. Her older son obviously wanted to stay behind and not move with his mother to Arizona. So obviously he was still staying in the house with the father. Whatever happened, a 15-year-old is dead. And you're probably going to hear different versions over the next couple of months pertaining to what happened in that townhouse. 2 other children were found in that house, and I am to believe that those said 2 children are by the suspect and the absentee mother. The absentee mother was staying in a hotel. Why she would leave her 2 children behind is baffling to me, because there's no way in hell I'd have left my 2 children. And as Night Owl said, I would have took the teenager too. But I do believe an older child should have some type of commentary to where they want to live and go to school, if indeed there's a safe place where they can stay. But as you see, staying behind with that stepfather was not a safe haven. And the sick part, besides the child being murdered, asphyxiated, is what the coroner says, all these people were living in the house with this father, stepfather, father. So that means you all were rolling the dice every day. You got up, ooh, have mercy, sleeping with the enemy. Every day you were sleeping with the enemy and didn't know it. But eventually she realized 2 restraining order attempts. First one failed by a judge. Second one, she got it, but she got it too late. She should have took her children with her. You see, sometimes you got to go back like old school, the way black folks came up in America. If it was 5 of us sleeping in a bed, from foot to head, head to foot, you do it by all means necessary. Because you want to preserve life. Because you see, you brought those children here, Miss Lady. And now, 2 children are without a father. And that was his choice, to put himself in that situation. That was his choice. But he was a loose cannon. And by the grace of God, Miss Lady, you are alive. And your 2 smaller children are alive. Because you see, the scary part is he could have killed the other 2 children. Nobody thought about that. Because what's the difference between killing the oldest child? Ask yourself why he would kill the child that wanted to stay behind with the stepfather. Put that on paper. Put that on paper. The child that wanted to stay behind, who did not want to move to Arizona with his mother, is the one that is now dead. You can't even explain that logically. Prayers to this lady and her 2 remaining children. And I pray that she finds some solace in the world, because now her eldest child is no longer living and killed by her husband, a man that she chose to live a life with. But he was a liar and a thief. And he got to stand account for what he has done to that family. Whatever other charge he has against him with the police department to be suspended, and for killing his stepson. And all I can say is he need to repent and ask God to show him favor, because God is the only one that can show him favor after killing this child. What he did was dirty, outright dirty. That is the said information. And if you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. I thank you all for listening to me. I thank you for the support. This month marks 2 years of my content being uploaded to YouTube. I'm grateful and I'm humble. And I thank you for your support. 2 days down, counting to New Orleans. Amen. God bless me on this safe journey out of town with my family. And I pray for all of you that you all have a safe weekend. I will go live later for part 3 live of commentary pertaining to Summer Wells. This has been a busy day for the Queen. And I thank you for last night's live and the night before. Thank you all so much for joining me. This is thank you, Night Owl. And thank the mods on deck. Thank you all for coming in to moderate. This is just sad to me. Looking at the picture of that young black boy, he had a life ahead of him and he got snuffed out. He played the violin. And he wanted to be a doctor. And he's been cheated. He's been cheated. And this is messed up. This is really messed up, man. All I can do is tell everybody, you have got to be careful the people you fool with, because you don't know people. I tell y'all that all the time. And I have made many mistakes in the people that I've met and dealt with. And I have thanked God every day that somebody did not harm me because I didn't know them either. But they showed me signs that they were unworthy of my attention and my affection. And I want to give God the glory tonight. I have no choice but to be humble. And I want to thank A5. Thank you for your testimony. Thank y'all. This is Everyday Shenanigans.